It's no longer enough to get things going. A lot of the studios are looking at what your social network status is, and some of it we haven't put a lot of attention into toward the last year. So the more people we get following us, the more goodies we get. And we just found out Universal Studios called us this morning, and they are FedExing, yesterday actually, FedExing items that'll be here today that we can hand out tomorrow. So come by the table tomorrow, we'll be having that, but we got tons of stuff. We had twice as much as we had last year, and that's a real plus considering everybody is focusing on E3 right now and San Diego, so getting stuff was kind of a pain. We pretty much start doing it year-round now. Anyway, we are back, third year. Phoenix Comicon. Cannot believe how much this has grown. My wife was just telling me it was 5 weeks. 2 years ago we came back to Phoenix, and it's we had roughly 5 weeks before the first show. Everything's growing like crazy. If you go to the site right now, it's an absolute mess. Some very kind person apparently out of China didn't like what we had to say promoting the PS4 and found the most nasty cyber attack that went through about 900,000 WordPress sites as well as ours. Goofed everything up off their permissions. It's still there, but it's in a very basic black and white state. All the links don't work, so we're in the process of reprogramming it, new graphics, new layout, but do check out the site. We are still posting. So, how many of you guys were at the panel last year? Great. And by the way, for those who don't remember, I'm Gareth, Skewed and Reviewed. That's us up there. Been talking at shows for about 16 years now. It's hard to believe. I was looking at the calendar and go, boy, was I really that young when I started doing all of that? But so far, holding in there. And we have our second office down here in Phoenix, and so we basically are a website. We have a magazine. We do a Skewedcast, we call it, and then we have a syndicated radio show out of Seattle. And you guys remember last year when I said, now, don't believe it until it's settled, because Lucas said there'll be absolutely no more Star Wars films, and that's it. But however, 20th Century Fox did put upcoming trilogy on their planned date. And I had everybody write me and say, you're an idiot, you're a moron, that's not going to happen, Star Wars is dead. Lucas even confirmed it. We had the right films, we had the wrong studio. We did not know that a few months later he was just going to call literally. We were told this is kind of what happened. He picked up the phone, made a call. Hey, if I should sell, would you guys be interested? Yeah, we might. What are you talking about? Oh, 4.4 billion? What would it include? Well, you get everything. Okay, we'll get right back to you. And apparently it was literally that. It was like a 2-hour conference call to the board saying, Lucas is offering us everything. Now, the moment they sold it, I said to someone, there is no way Disney is paying $4.4 billion for all of this stuff without plans on making new films, because it's like buying Volkswagen and saying, but you can't make bugs anymore. Yeah, they got video games, yeah, they've got toys, and they've got animated shows, but... So, you got 5 and quite possibly 10 movies already in the production stage right now. You got the trilogy, you got 2 standalone films. We're told Boba Fett and Yoda are the leading candidates for that. There is a plan that they're kicking around that once the new films come, a new Star Wars film every year. That means simultaneous production. Some will be Old Republic, some will be individual characters we know, all over the place. Obviously, probably going to be shot in 3D. And here's where it gets really interesting. You know how good old JJ had to kind of sashay over from Star Trek over to Star Wars? He's not getting the new film, per se. We've been told he's been offered all of it. It's kind of like the Star Trek deal. As many of these as you want to direct, they're yours. Now, that refers to the prequels, not the, sequels. I can't get used to calling them sequels yet. It just seems so odd, but, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the new animated show that was announced. What do you guys think? They had originally said it might be set between episode 6 in the new series. Now it's set between episode 3 and 4, which is really odd because that's where the live-action series is supposed to happen. And here's where it gets really, really crazy. The live-action show you have not seen, they've got over 50 scripts sitting for it right now. $5 million an episode minimum is what they were found to be doing. No studio is going to try that one. Now, there's this show you may have heard of called Game of Thrones. That's approaching that, but do you know how it gets done? They basically signed over everything to HBO. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Disney owns ABC. They own the cartoon channels and all of that. They would own it all in-house. They would own the network, they own the production, they would own the toys and the merchandising, and they would own the DVDs. So therefore, a little easier risk for them to save $5 million an episode because they control every single revenue stream. We don't know if anything's going to happen on this, but we had a source tell us that they're not done with Lucasfilm. They've got their eyes on Hasbro. Transformers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, Battleship, and guess who makes the Star Wars toys now? Hasbro. All in-house, one-stop shopping. Smart business if you can pull it off. So what's the new film going to be about? Well, I can tell you this. They've been scouting locations in Iceland, specifically where Prometheus was filmed, and some surrounding areas. They're looking at, let's talk more about what we don't know rather than what we do know, because it's easier to say what we don't know is basically everything. What we do know is this. They've said the comics, the source material, the books, all of that, that's off the table. This is all new stuff. You got an Academy Award-winning screenwriter, Little Miss Sunshine, Toy Story 3, Michael Arndt. Looking over the thing, you go, well, gee, where's his sci-fi chops? Well, now he's done Oblivion. He was involved in the story. He wrote the screenplay for Catching Fire. So at least now you're seeing, okay, there's the genre chops coming out. He's working away on this. Abrams is working away on it. They're going to start filming very soon. Harrison Ford was the big shocker. It always said, I'm done with Star Wars. He even came out and said, nothing is set yet, but it looks like it's happening. Carrie Fisher tweeted the other day that Disney sent a trainer to her house. So, go figure. But, doesn't mean she's actually doing anything. So, we got to figure out how that's going to work out. Poor lady, she's had some problems, let's put it that way. But, So, what's going to happen? Well, let's take it down to the basic thing. It's going to be, 20, 30 years later, maybe Han and Leia are married, maybe they're not. Not necessarily a given that they're married. Maybe Han's the I don't want to be tied down type of guy. Don't know. I think the only thing we can safely say is Luke and Leia are not married to each other. But then again, hey sis, we got to keep the bloodline going. Sorry. All right, back that up. Sorry, got to save that for the evening panel. That's when it gets a little blue. But. And I'm simply meaning handshake, kids. That's all we're talking about. Look at it like this. They're struggling to put everything back together. There are remnants of the Empire still in place. You've got a new threat that emerges. So the new threat emerges. Heroes old, new. Rise up, challenge. There you go. There's your basic plot line. Now the question is, who are the bad guys going to be? I wrote an article saying I don't think it's possible they could ever outdo Darth Vader as a villain. It's become too iconic. And I think for me the key is they need to make sure to say, you know what, we're not going to fuss around with Darth Vader as a villain. We are going to make sure that we have a quality, bad guy and go from there. Not try to outdo him, not try to top it off. So we'll get back to that a little later. The Star Wars TV show, Rebels, we talked about, that's coming up. So let's talk about Prometheus. What did you guys think about it? Make sure you check out the Blu-ray. The deleted scenes fill in a lot of details. Not much, but they help. Prometheus 2 is in the planning stages. Ridley Scott has met with a very young English actor 3 different times already, so that's progress. They are definitely moving forward with that. Tentatively titled Paradise. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, you know about Riddick 3? Thank goodness. Blade Runner 2 is still on a go stage. And Hampton Fincher, who wrote the original, is back. Harrison Ford may or may not be back, but Ridley Scott. So what can I tell you about the female character? Strong and the lead. So that's what it's going to be. You're going to have a probably female Blade Runner in this one. Anyone see the movie Drive Angry 3D, My Bloody Valentine? Yeah. Now how about this one? Justin Lin's busy right now in Manila filming Fast and Furious 7. And kind of made him a little unavailable to do a film project he's been approached to do, and that was the Terminator film. Now, Patrick Lussier, who did Drive Angry 3D and My Bloody Valentine, who also is working with the person who wrote Shutter Island, apparently are taking a stab at the new Terminator film. So we thought, truthfully, this is one of those, kind of like Logan's Run. I've been hearing rumors about this for 12 years. I remember doing a convention in Canada. The film studio was 5 minutes down the road. They had the producer in the thing with our panel saying, we start filming Logan's Run in 3 months with Bryan Singer. Still waiting. And they've gone through about 4 leads and 6 directors since that time. But the other thing is that Arnold's a very busy guy. If you have not had a chance to see The Last Stand, it's out on Blu-ray, DVD now. It's not bad, folks. It is a good classic 80s action throwback. And people say, well, he's getting kind of old. Yeah. And he still throws around people like crazy. If you want throwback action with a lot of bloody mayhem, it was one of the good action films that you just don't see made like that anymore, simply because they don't have the new generation of action stars that they had hoped. So that's why Stallone and Schwarzenegger are so in demand. Stallone is still talking about doing another Rambo. He's got Expendables 3 going right now, and he's reached out to Jackie Chan, Wesley Snipes, and possibly Steven Seagal this time out. Here's a twist for you. He offered the directorship of the film to Mel Gibson. And Mel passed on it, unfortunately, because I would have been really curious to see what Mel Gibson would have come up with. Anyway, Arnold has got, obviously, another Conan movie coming. I'm thrilled to death about this. He's got a new movie with twins called Triplets, because apparently Eddie Murphy was the third brother they didn't know about, if all goes as well. They want Eddie Murphy, but, that remains to be seen. Arnold has got a prison film coming out with Stallone very soon, where they have to escape this high-tech futuristic prison. He's got a lot of stuff, even though Last Stand didn't do well here, huge draw overseas. He announced recently, they said, Arnold, what's going on with Terminator? I have not signed for a Terminator film. I've signed for 2. So apparently the rumors about it being a 2-parter are true. And here's the thing. Yeah, okay, he's in his 60s. He's pushing 60-something. You know what? Read the guy's book. He's got a really interesting attitude on life, and I was impressed that he was willing to admit his faults and the things that he'd done wrong. And the thing about it is, can you imagine them doing it without him? In some way, he's got to be involved with that, because you saw what happened when they tried to do it without him last time and just CGI'd it in. It just didn't work. He could take the average material and up it a notch. So, jumping through time, apparently possible alternate realities, characters who might have been dead might be coming back this time. So, Michael Biehn, Linda Hamilton. So we'll see how that plays out. One of the problems is, of course, we have 2 hours plus worth of material that we're trying to squeeze into an hour here. And we talk with the guys about doing multiple panels, extending it, and it's always just a space and a time issue. So obviously, if we don't get to stuff, I'm going to try to get time at the end for Q&A, but obviously you can stop me in the hall, come to the table, I'll fill you in any time. Always email us, we'll answer it. So, Superman Man of Steel. How many of you guys are excited about this? Would you believe its sequel's already in the planning stages? Same with Pacific Rim. They've already told Guillermo, start planning your sequel. Always nice, The only bad thing I have to say about the two of them, my Buzz thing, converted 3D. Shoot it in 3D or don't do it at all. Don't call it 3D if you shoot it conventionally and run it to the lab. That being said, they are looking good. Another one that I'm always very hesitant to talk about until the cameras roll, but we had an interview with David Duchovny last year for a film he did called Goats. And, he's doing some indie work. I had to touch the buzzword with David. David, what's going on with Mulder and Scully? And he said, well, number one, he's furious with Fox because he doesn't think they're promoting the franchise. He thinks that X-Files could be as big as Star Wars if it was properly promoted. He said, we're ready to go. Jillian, Chris Carter, and I are all set. We are just waiting at this point for Fox to say go. and we're filming the movie. Now, they did put out the new 10th season in, comic form, but they've got a plan on the cards for a film that tentatively is titled Endgame. And the problem is, one of the reasons he was upset, because it was set in December of 2012, when the colonization was supposed to happen. And we're all here. See, they kind of hoped to put the movie out last year, because essentially, and he agreed with me on this, everything they have done through all the years of the show is completely invalidated unless they resolve the big issue. The colonization is coming. They know the date. Do they save us all, or are we all destined to become, black goo? And he said until they address that, so right now he said it's like anything else. The fans want it. Best thing people can do is write Fox. They've got a website. They've got social networks. Tell them, I want more X-Files. And that's the fastest way it'll happen. Problem is, they put it out up against the second Batman film. It didn't do very well. Cleaned up overseas. Problem is, that would have been a better film to put out in October or November rather than in the middle of the summer. And I'm referring to the last movie. They also realized that perhaps making it standalone and not connected to the mythology probably wasn't the best of ideas. But Harrison Ford, with Lucas retired right now, Indiana Jones 5 is kind of on the back burner. But remember this, when Disney forked over $4.4 billion to Lucas, whom basically kicked it all over to charities, it wasn't just for Star Wars, folks, remember that. And there is another very valuable, very lucrative property that's sitting at the Lucas Archives, and that's the Indiana Jones franchise. So don't think for a minute that once they get done with Star Wars. And let's not also forget, one of the most popular rides at Disneyland is the Indiana Jones Adventure. So that's part of the reason why he went with them. Star Tours, they have a very good working relationship. And he looked at it and saying, barring a major catastrophe, you can make the argument that 200 years from now, Disney's still going to be around. It's a good way to make sure that your, legacy is continued. Did I mention to you last year about James Cameron and Avatar 2, 3, and possibly 4? Did I tell you about his deal with Disney? Avatar rides. They're in the process of planning one at the Magic Kingdom. Now, mind you, this was before the deal with Lucas, so I don't know if that's going to supersede it at all, but they are planning a series of Avatar-themed attractions at the park, and the first one is supposed to be at the Wild Animal Park. So I mention that because they are going into pre-production on Avatar 2 and 3. There is a water element to it. They're going down in a deep-sea submersible. You know how he went down and set the record. He's got a rig with state-of-the-art 3D cameras. Now, here's what really scares me. You know how he took this new 3D technology and made this quantum leap with the filmed Avatar, which caused all of the theaters to upgrade to it? He said, and then you have like The Hobbit and how they filmed at the higher rate of speed for the higher resolution. He says he's got a new trick to take it even further for the Avatar sequels. So, I'm waiting for that one. Now, if they do a fourth one, that will likely be a prequel about how the whole tension between the Earth settlers and the Na'vi got started, but 2 and 3 are being filmed back to back. And ironically, Sigourney Weaver said she may be involved, and I'm thinking, now, how is this going to happen? But, cloning is always the magic out. Cloning and flashbacks. Now, speaking of cloning, Jurassic Park 4. Woo! Yeah. Now here's the thing, and I'm not trying to sound mean on this, I'm just being ironic here, okay? So they announced a director for the thing. The guy has done one movie, a $200,000 art film called Safety Not Guaranteed. You can stream it on Netflix. No stars, no big special effects, nothing. $200,000 movie. And apparently he was on the short list to direct the Star Wars films. Now I'm thinking, I know a little bit about Hollywood works. They have to deal with them on a regular basis. Have you ever heard of one guy doing one movie, seriously, not being difficult here? I've directed more stuff than he has. Yes, it's been independent, and they're handing over a $175 million movie with stars, with animatronics, with high-end special effects, say, film in 3D, have it out and ready by next summer. Does that sound like a problem for you guys? Yeah. Here's what I said when I was told who they picked. Sounds to me like they want a puppet. They want somebody who they say, shut up, film the movie, don't try to reinterpret it, just do that. And the producers are calling the shots, because to make that timetable, they were going to start filming in July to have it out by next June. And I kept looking at it saying, I don't see any way you could film that thing unless they've already done a year and a half worth of the digital effects. And apparently the script is quite good. It's written by the guys who did the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So, then the hammer fell. Apparently, Universal walked right into the studio and said, you, pack your desks, get out of here. And they shut it down right there, just literally out of the blue, they came in and they shut it down. And people started going to the social networks saying, that's it, I'm done. Got enough of a buzz that about a day and a half later, Universal had to come out and say, look, it's not done. What we basically have done is reorganized a bit. We want to give you the best possible experience we can. This is going to be an epic film. It's planned for the start of a new trilogy. We want to make sure we're taking our time to do it right. Director's still in place, but the impression I got was some of his hand-picked people have been removed from the project. So, once again, we'll see how this all plays out. It'll be interesting to see what he does with it. I'm sitting here going, I've never heard of somebody who's never done a big studio film being handed the keys to a major film, much less a franchise like this. So, either he absolutely blew him away with his interview or something, but even then it was like, maybe we want you to direct something more, District 90, low budgety before you transition to this. But, I could have seen, you got Jurassic Park 4, but we want you to film these two other films first. Who knows? Crazy stuff there. Conan 3 we mentioned. Resident Evil 6. They keep saying it's the last one, then the box office makes buku numbers. Anybody that saw the end of the last one, there is no way that was the end. Now, admittedly, I did not like that as much as I liked the previous two, but there you go. You guys remember Chucky? Yeah. Now, what would you say if I told you he's coming back?
Oh my God. I'll see you again.
In 3D. And don't rule out The Punisher making a remake too. American Werewolf in London. It's coming back. How do you think you're going to see it this time, folks? 3D. There you go. And if 3D is the way you like it, well, you don't have to worry about it for this one. You remember Dog Soldiers? Yeah. Dog Soldiers 2, Fresh Meat. They are almost done with it. I've been waiting for that one forever. Now, video games are making a big deal transforming to the film. Deus Ex is coming. Remember the very gritty game for the Sony PlayStation 3, Heavy Rain? They're actively looking at that one in Uncharted right now. Now, a few months ago, actually, take that back, a couple years ago, I can't believe it's been that long now, but Dean Devlin was doing an interview with him, and at the end I said, Dean, I got to ask you this question. I know you get asked this a lot, but I always hear the answer third party. If you don't mind, I'd like to hear it from you. And he was really cool. He said, yeah, what do you got? I said, what's going on with Stargate and Independence Day? And he said, we always planned on 3 Stargate movies, but the TV shows went in such a different direction, it kind of invalidated what we were planning on doing, so we've decided to let the shows run their course, and then we may look at redoing Stargate and then launching a trilogy. He said Independence Day, believe it or not, was never planned to be sequelized. He said it was planned, and he said, now, ooh, this is getting creepy. Yes, all of a sudden, 9/11 hit. And he said, Roland and I said, showing wholesale destruction of cities I don't think is appropriate. Time had passed. And now they say, maybe we need to be doing this. So they're gaining momentum right now. They're all set, and they're just waiting for a green light from Fox. Now, they want Jeff Goldblum in it. They have a script with Will Smith, a script without Will Smith. Word we're hearing is Will wants $30 million a picture, plus a share of profit, plus other perks, possibly including starring roles for his son, and so on and so forth. So, as of 48 hours ago, there was momentum enough to they started to go out to the trade saying, we're moving forward with this. We're just waiting for the final okay from Fox that we hope is coming. So, Fox gives the green light. You're seeing it. If they don't, another one that you might want to mention to them saying, we want to see this. Just real quick, Ghostbusters 3 is pretty much dead. Aykroyd is still trying to get it to happen. Bill Murray doesn't want to do it. It does involve a new team of Ghostbusters. Fury Road is coming, finally. The new Mad Max with good old Tom Hardy taking over. If it spins well, the sequel Furiosa will be coming out. And very, very early, might happen, might not happen, but had a interesting chat with Disney and some people, and they're at least nothing signed, nothing official, tire kicking stage only. Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2? Kind of like, if we did it, what would the story be? Can we do it budget-wise? That sort of thing. There's interest, but nothing signed, nothing guaranteed. How'd you guys feel about Captain Kirk running around in long red underwear? We have an interview with Straczynski up. I mean, obviously, you guys will get to hear from him later. And I'm not going to spoil a lot of it, but I did ask him about his Marvel ambitions and what, is he going to direct more and what would he like to do? And he said, I'd love to direct a film version of The Flash. And I know that they've circled Chris Pine's name more than once as to wouldn't he be a great Flash. So we'll see how that plays out. They're trying to remake The Crow. They looked at Bradley Cooper. Bradley was all set and he backed out. And Loki is the new person they are looking at right now. Nothing signed. I want to be clear on that he's the new one. So we'll see if Tom does that. Steve Carell. Anybody shocked that he was back for the finale? They hid that for a long time. They didn't tell anybody. They denied it up to the end. But one of the problems is Steve Carell's got so many movies lined up. It's beyond scary. You got Despicable Me 2 coming up. There's the spin-off with the Minions coming. And, of course, he's got Anchorman 2, which looks absolutely hysterical. Mild spoiler here. I'm not going to say when this happens and who is involved, but I can tell you there is you remember the classic scene where the stations duked it out, a la Planet of the Apes? Apparently there's a much larger version of that set near water with some big names cameos that take place in Anchorman 2. So even in the 80s, the malevolence carries over. He still wants to do Get Smarter, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as it comes out. 28 months later kind of got put on the back burner, so we're kind of hoping that comes out. World of Warcraft is spinning in limbo. We're hoping at BlizzCon this year they'll give us something, but I'm not waiting. Again, that's one of those waiting for the film. When the camera starts rolling, then I'll believe it. Now, fresh off their disastrous launch for the Xbox One, Microsoft is doing a little bit of spin control, and I'm very curious to see. In a couple weeks, we'll be at E3, and I'll be very interested to see because the trending on it has been terrible. They're taking quite a beating because a lot of people said, "Well, where were the games?" I don't want to see a box that works my TV. Where are the games? In fact, we got a very funny photo from Sony up the other day that has a photo of the PlayStation 4 controller. It says, "Yeah, we have a TV too, but we use ours to play games on it." So I talked to some independent developers, just FYI, and they said they're both very impressive, but the PS4's got more power. It's about 50% more powerful, and it's unlike the 3, it's apparently much, much easier to program for, so the developers really enjoy that. And in one of the greatest laughs I find in business, Microsoft backed HD DVD, and apparently they have to write Sony a very hefty check for Blu-ray licensing fees for the new system. So the one that I've heard might involve a percentage of each Xbox sold. So they're possibly sitting somewhere saying, "Go ahead and sell all you want, guys." So it's funny how how these things work out sometimes, isn't it? Sherlock Holmes 3, Robert Downey Jr. said that he's still planning it. Now, got to say, I'm really impressed with what he's doing right now. I don't know if you heard, obviously Iron Man 3 just set the record for the highest grossing standalone superhero film in history. And he doesn't have a contract anymore. He's a free agent. And they're trying to get him to do, obviously, more Iron Man films, but also to get involved and be involved with the future Avengers films. And Robert is basically saying, "Oh, we'll talk, but my castmates need to get a pay raise first. You take care of them, and then you take care of me." And I thought, quite, Jesse. I don't know if you heard. I've heard rumors that his compensation for Iron Man 3 with profit sharing, or for the Avengers, was in the $70 million range by the time all the profit sharing. So he's kind of like, look, I'm being taken care of. Make sure everyone else is being taken care of. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with that. That you don't see that happen because, as he said, we're a family. We don't want to do that. Oh, every film, here's a new Thor, here's a new. We want to see this through together as a unit. So, it'd be very interesting to see how that all plays out. But hey, you got Captain America next year to look forward to. So we'll see how that plays out. Video games, as I said. You guys remember Missile Command and Asteroids? Yeah. What would you say if I told you they're trying to find ways to make film versions of these? Now, I'm going to date myself a little bit here. I thought I saw the film version of Missile Command. It was called The Day After. But, Steve Guttenberg running around in irradiated Kansas, and it's like, I don't know, didn't look much different to me, but, sorry. We don't have a lot of followers in Kansas, at least I hope not. If we did, we don't now. Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Now, Johnny, I want to clarify this for you. To be honest here, I'm not overly excited about it. I'm hoping that changes. How many of you are excited about the Lone Ranger? Good. Now, the budget was rumored to have hit $250 million, and Disney said, we got to scale this back, folks. Cowboys and Aliens, we don't need a repeat of that. So they scaled the budget back. Now, supposedly, Johnny has said this was his passion project. Future outings of Jack Sparrow were kind of contingent upon this film getting made. So they shaved about $40-50 million off the price tag. They started filming. Well, the problem is they had problems with the sets, they had problems with the weather, they had all kinds of delays, and the budget starts going back up. It hit back to the original budget and then started going over. We've been hearing stories that writers are literally on set reworking scenes as they film them to try to shave money off. Like in big battle scenes, well, maybe we only need half the people. Maybe this only needs to blow up once, not twice. Things like this. I have been told the number right now is possibly $275 million before they have done a single penny of promotion. I had an analyst tell me, quite possibly, they might need to pull in $500 million worldwide just to break even on it. And as they pointed out to me, yes, it's got some star power. However, a character that hasn't been relevant since your grandfather was around might be a hard sell, especially in this day and age. True to his word, though, they have begun early planning stages for Pirates of the Caribbean 5, so keep that. The reason I thought it was interesting is that with, the John Carter situation, that I think could have done a lot better if they had marketed it properly. I'm worried that Disney may be setting themselves up for the fail with this. I hope I'm wrong, but, I see the trailers and I look at it and go, looks all right, but I just don't see a $300 million or $250 million, epic blockbuster there. But who knows? Maybe they're saving the best for last. And, a lot of times these are films like, look at Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It came out with next to no expectation, next to no buzz at all, and took off and blew everyone away. So, that's why they're working on the sequel. So, okay. So, now we get to the rumor stage. Night at the Museum and Clash of the Titans 3. If I told you Lee Majors' classic TV series is coming to the big screen, what would you guys say?
Wow.
$6 Million Man, right, yeah. No, it's the Fall Guy. Yes. Can't wait to see how the casting goes for that one. I Am Legend 2, quite possibly, is going to happen. Toy Story 4. They're kicking ideas around. Call of Duty. Jurassic Park 5. Now, my attitude was, well, you better finish 4 first, and then we'll talk 5. But Halo. They're going to apparently dust it off and give it another shot. Rush Hour 4. If they can get Jackie Chan, it's Chris Tucker needs the money. Now, Robert Rodriguez is working away on Machete Kills. That's one of the clever things is one of the bad guys in the film, a Carlos Estevan. You may know him better as Charlie Sheen. In a clever little thing, he decided to go with his actual name. So in the trailers it says, and introducing Carlos Estevez. Lady Gaga's in it. They're planning a third one, and Robert Rodriguez said, when I get done with this, I'd love to do another Predator film. He said, I've got ideas, I'm ready to go, so just waiting for the word on that. They are redoing Gremlins finally. It has moved into pre-production, at least early concept stage. Angelina Jolie, she's been on the news circuits a lot for, her health issues. I got to say she did something even before that I was really impressed about. She was offered a boatload of money, signed, sealed, and delivered to do Salt 2, ready to film. And she said, you know what, I'm not doing this. This script is garbage. She said, I will do the project, but you need to redo this. This is not right to the series, this is not right to the fans. And so they said, all right. And they're in the process of reworking it. Now, how many times have you heard the actor just say, oh, you know what, I'll take the money, and, oh, yeah, well, we had script problems and rewrites. And she looked at it and said, no, not going to ride. Oh, it's got this star and it's a sequel. So, got to say, impressed with that. Really impressed with that. Tomorrow, the big day, Arrested Development. There's a lot of speculation if the Netflix servers are going to be handle the stream, because do you have any idea how much their audience has grown in the 6 years since it was run off the air for not being popular enough? Massive audience now. Now, they've said, Netflix has told us, while the plan is that they want to go off and do a movie afterwards, they are willing to do another season. The interesting thing, though, is if you ever find out how they filmed this season, it would be an incredible documentary. They're all committed to other projects, so they filmed them all literally as standalone episodes around a linking arc that focus on one character and what they have been doing in the time since the show went off the air. But of course, they realized the Bluths work really well with each other and their dysfunction. They literally had to green screen in actors for shots around their schedule, because it'd be like, well, we've got you for this week, we got you for this week, but we can't get the three of you together. We need the three of you for the scene. And so they literally had to composite it all together to make it look like they were all there. But I've seen some outtakes that didn't make the season, and I can tell you this, if those were the outtakes, this is going to be something special. There's a classic one where the mom is under home detention, and she's trying to smoke, and she can't go to the window because it sets off the alarm bracelet. But she's not allowed to smoke in the building. So she lights up, calls Buster over, breathes into his mouth. Buster has to run outside, blow out the air. And each time he's getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And so the moment she finishes, he staggers out, and he's like, no, Mom, no, Mom. And as he's staggering out, she sees it. And you think, oh, she's going to take pity on him? Nope, she lights another. And they told me this is an outtake. This is not going to be in the show. So I'm very interested to see how that plays out. Hancock 2 is still on the table. We got Peabody and Sherman. You know about Spider-Man 2 coming, obviously. And what would you say if I told you Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are the ones they're looking at very heavily right now? We have an interview coming very soon, too, with Boo Boo Stewart, who is going to be playing in the new X-Men film. So look for that. We just needed some follow-up, so we didn't post it. Star Blazers.
Yes.
I have heard, now this might have gone on the back burner since you got Star Wars, but Abrams was sniffing around Micronauts and trying to get the rights to that. I would love to see that. Chronicles of Narnia is still in play. New Transformers trilogy filming in China. StarCraft may be coming as a movie. Now, RoboCop, you were supposed to be seeing that this year. They pushed it till next year. Never a good sign. We'll see. Now, I can tell you they've been filming like crazy on this. This is not a rumor anymore. Sim City, A Dame to Kill For. It's coming. How would you guys feel about a Lego movie with an all-star cast? It's coming too. Stretch Armstrong, bring the corn syrup. You guys like 21 Jump Street? There's more coming, I can tell you. We came up with a great one, too, actually. We were in Vegas, and we had just come back. This was during CES, and we had just come back from seeing the show at the Aria, the latest one, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now, Cirque du Soleil. And my wife said to me, she goes, God, wouldn't it be funny for 21 Jump Street if Channing and Jonah had to go undercover to a Cirque du Soleil thing. And of course, Jonah being, let's be kind, schlubby, had to go out and do some kind of contortionist bit as his cover. Now, you could see Channing, doing former dancer, being able to do the routines, but here's Jonah basically having to be a clown or something like that. And I thought, boy, that would be an interesting, just like as an intro scene or whatever. But they are working away on it, so we'll be seeing that one very soon. Fast and Furious 7, I mentioned. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, anyone? Yeah. Dumb and Dumber 2. The Farrelly brothers are ready, Jeff Daniels is ready, and Jim is ready. They are just waiting for the green light. The Muppets 2. Tina Fey and Christoph Waltz. They will be bringing his 2 Academy Awards along and collecting the bounty on Fuzzy the Bear once and for all. So, Godzilla, filming up in Canada. Little strange to be thinking Godzilla, Japanese, filming in Canada, but that's the way we work right now. New James Bond film. Well, that goes without saying. He's over in England right now. He told me he just had to go through the Disney employees sexual harassment training course about what is an appropriate hug and what is not an appropriate hug. But good old Jamie Gum, Guardians of the Galaxy, they are rolling. Finding Dory, and they are all back. The Smurfs 3, Hotel Transylvania 2, and Tom Cruise is going to be back. MI5, folks. Possibly a standalone Hulk movie. Now, mind you, we're like 3 years out at this point here. So, Fantastic Four. Recasting. Possibly including an African-American Human Torch. Avatar 2, we talked about. How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3. Kung Fu Panda 3. And even though Brad Pitt bailed, they are still planning 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And now we get to the fun part of the show, the question and answers and the rapid fire rumor title. Now, remember, these are all, I verify these things. Someone's actually been tracking my panels for 20 years now, or 16 years, excuse me. He said we have an 88% accuracy rate from the stuff we talk about actually coming 2 to 3 years down the road. So I'm thrilled about that. Now, how they haven't made me a producer yet, I can tell you why. I'm one of those who can watch a promo for a TV show and say, there's no way in hell that's going to fly. And the problem is that's how you make enemies, by telling people things aren't going to fly. It's better to let it fail on its own. Time Cop is being remade. No Sean Club this time out. Angry Birds. Oh yes, it's coming. What do you guys think of Red 2 with Bruce Willis and Malkovich? Yeah, well, Part 3 is already in the planning stages. You guys see that Nazis on the Moon movie, Iron Sky, if not available on Redflix? Yeah. Part 2, folks. Here it comes. Now, I mentioned Arnold, and I saved this for last. There's a possibility that a Lloyd Kaufman Troma production is going to be remade with a big studio budget. And Arnold shocked the world by saying he wants to be involved in this heavily. And that's The Toxic Avenger. I believe Arnold would be playing the villain. I hope he's not playing Melvin, the nerdy janitor. But if he is, I would see that in a heartbeat. Just, can you imagine him trying to slip on the tights and the tutu and the mop? Yeah. Or maybe not, especially if they film in 3D. I don't know if I want to go that far. Now, here's one I'm so beyond thrilled about. We talked about the movie version of this that got held off because of problems. They've decided not to go with the movie version, to do an extended series next year. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. It is on the schedule for January, if all goes well, or possibly next summer. 24, Live Another Day. Yes. Kiefer is back, and he is mad. Now, let me tell you what's going on here. This was basically going to take place, the film. They're looking to set it in Europe. He's a man without a country. He's a man who's just basically been kicked to the curb, and he's been stewing. And something happens, and they have to bring Jack back. So imagine an angry Jack Bauer who doesn't have to answer to any chain of command anywhere, who's got a score to settle, and who basically doesn't care whether he lives or dies as long as he takes many of them with him. That's what you're going to see. And I can't wait. I mean, right there, I'm waiting for the first interrogation scene right there. I mean, that did it for me. Men in Black 4. Scary, huh? Okay, so we got 10 to 15 minutes. Let's go with the questions. You were up first.
Yeah, any rumors on a remake of Flight of the Navigator?
They've kicked it around. Nothing has happened yet. It's kind of one of those, give us a script that blows us away, we might talk. Yes?
I heard you say that the latest Star Wars movie, number 7.
Yes.
Luke getting possessed by the Emperor.
That's been one of the rumors that has kicked around. They haven't said anything yet. You're probably going to see a lot of this in probably next year when the cameras start rolling. Yes.
Are they going to make a video game off the new Star Wars movie?
Tons of them. EA just signed a multiple-year deal to be the exclusive Star Wars game outlet. Yes.
Anything on Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed is moving along. And for folks who are leaving, please don't forget to check by the table. We got the swag out there as well as the charity stuff. Yes?
You never mentioned anything about Justice League.
Justice League, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Justice League. Planning, want to do it, waiting for the final okay sign off on the script. They keep going back and forth, but it's got a lot of momentum on it. Yes?
What about the possibility of a Wonder Woman movie?
Wonder Woman movie is kind of on hold at the moment. They're kind of waiting to introduce the character with Justice League. They're kicking around ideas for another TV series, though. Yes?
I've heard a couple of different things about a Green Lantern 2.
Green Lantern 2 has been on hold right now. The director was basically thrown under the bus by the studio as for the reason it failed, so we're not planning it anytime soon, but you stay in the back. Yeah? I am not sure at the moment. I will check on that.
I heard about it being like on display at Disney or something.
They had it at Comicon, and I haven't seen it since then. But that's a very good point. I would think that's a good bet. So many.
It is at Disneyland right now.
Yeah, it is at Disney right now. That's right. They're doing the Star Wars weekends in Florida right now, and they just did the 24-hour. If I don't get to all of you, please come to the table. I will make sure to get your question. Yes.
I heard that Disney is going to be in the new Superman movie.
Yes, that's the rumor, as well as possibly Lex Luthor. Doomsday in the new Superman movie. Yes.
Could you explain to me how the X-Men Origins and all that sequels work? Is it reboots or?
Kind of a reboot is what the plan is right now. But here's the interesting thing: the new one they're filming is going to have the older versions of themselves as well as their younger versions of itself.
Okay.
So we've already heard. Yes, older Wolverine is going to be interacting with younger Wolverine. So play that one out. Yes.
What's Disney's current plan for Tron 3?
Tron 3 is moving forward. We heard we were supposed to hear about some of it from Bruce Boxleitner this weekend, but he had to go off and do his other projects, so we shall know. 3. Yes? Highlander, dead on arrival right now. They've kicked around some remake ideas, nothing really gaining traction. It may change, though. Yes? September on Riddick. Yeah, the Ninja Turtles is moving forward. They are filming in pre-production stage, so it is going to be happening. Yes? Sorry? They've kicked around the ideas, but it's never gotten to anything. It's kind of one of those, if it happens, I don't know. I think what they're waiting for is kind of like what happened years ago with superhero films. They were really hit or miss. And then a couple of them were knocked out of the ballpark and did really good. I think they're waiting for a video game movie to come out and do just some massive, massive business. Yes? Yeah?
Okay, so you said something about a black Human Torch. If they do have adopted because he and Susan are supposed to be related?
Yeah, that's one of the interesting questions that they haven't answered yet. In fact, officially there's no comment, but that's been the rumor that's been going around. They've even named a few actors, so we'll see how that plays out. In the back with the mask there.
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing has been kicked around. I've heard that. I would like to see that happen. I really would. Yeah. Splinter Cell, yes. Good thing you mentioned that. We actually have to talk to Ubisoft in 2 weeks. They have said there are plans for that. They are looking for that. Let's see. I haven't gone near this side of the room, so over there.
Hi, thank you. Have you heard anything about Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders Inferno series?
Possibly more of a TV event. I've heard ideas. No one's come forward and said we're at least pitching it to a studio on any note. In the back there?
With J.J. going into Star Wars, can we move forward with Trick 3?
Yeah, Trick 3 is already happening. I'm sorry, I didn't bring this up earlier. They're planning a storyline. I'm told it's possibly going to involve a war with the Klingons. They are, any of you see Attack the Block?
Yes.
That director is one of the people they're looking at for Star Trek 3. If JJ can't do it, it's still up to JJ. He will be producing it. His people, he still has to be the one to say I can or cannot do it. But right now he said he's leaning very heavily to not doing it simply because he anticipates his workload to be way too high. In the back. They're kicking it around. What I'm hearing, I'm not thrilled about. Let's put it that way. I wish there was something better to tell you. Yeah.
Anything on a Mass Effect?
Yes, they've kicked ideas around for that. Nothing funded, nothing set, but it is definitely something they're interested in. They lost some momentum over the flap over the ending, and now that it's been resolved with the DLC, people are more content. Mass Effect movie. Mass Effect. Yeah, right there. Walking Dead movie is not going to happen right now because AMC has said truthfully, as of the other day, they said, we see no end in sight to the series. They think it can go on indefinitely. So, essentially, as long as the ratings hold, they're not going to get rid of it. So, yes?
What about the Creature from the Black Lagoon remake?
That's been kind of spinning in limbo forever. It's kind of like Logan's Run. I'm at the point with that is I'll believe it when the cameras roll. Yeah?
Last Airbender movie?
Last Airbender movie, they're probably not going to do another one right now. If After Earth takes off and M. Night has a little bit of momentum, it might happen, but I heard they're already kicking around a sequel called After Earth. So, yeah, go figure. We're right over there. Yeah.
So, what stuff was in Gareth and his project? Boys, Preacher.
It's a hard. I'm not hearing anything from any studios, independent or otherwise. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I'll get you. Sorry, Dark Tower is on. They can't get anyone willing to back it. Is basically the problem right now. Yeah.
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. That's a great one. Raimi has said he's kicking. They've got ideas for a fourth one. So they are planning it. The remake, reboot, whatever, did very well. So, right there. Sorry?
Mountain of Madness?
Mouth of Madness. That kind of got killed with Prometheus. They said the concepts were too similar. Boy, let's see. Right over here. Bioshock's pretty much dead at this point, but hopefully with the success of Infinity, they'll reboot it. It's a tricky film to do. You can't. One of the problems, and this is the big issue with video games, and I've talked to Uwe Boll, I've talked to so many people, and poor Uwe, he takes so much flack for his video game stuff, but as he says, he uses that to fund his dramas. He's got several films out now, like Assault on Wall Street, a thing on Max Schmeling. His dramas are actually getting very good reviews, and they're quite well done. He said the problem is you get the rights to the video game. So they say you can use the name, you can name the character. You can't make it look like the game. You can't make it run like the game, because that might infringe on game sales and future sequels. So essentially they say you can call it Far Cry, you can set it on the island, but it can't be tropical. You can't make the mutants look the same. Knock yourself out. And people blast them. So one of the problems with a film, look at Doom. I mean, that was a big major studio, big game company, and that was nothing like the game. And one of the problems with Bioshock is these games run 8 to 12 hours to play them. And you got to condense it down into 90 minutes to 2 hours. And normally, you're a lone person. You don't have a lot of interaction with people unless you're killing them. That kind of makes the narrative that just really goofs things up. Yes, right there.
How far along is Sin City?
They're moving along. They're filming, I can tell you that. So,
It was supposed to be out this year.
yeah, that's the hope. They're still shooting for possibly having it out by the holidays. So, yes, in the back.
With Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming out, do you think we'll see any crossovers between like the
Oh, I would be shocked if you do. I will be shocked if you don't. I'm definitely. I think this is just my thought. If they're smart, since How I Met Your Mother is ending next year, they need to get Kobe and get her right over on that show. If they were smart, they would approach her right now and say, I know maybe you're not ready to jump back to episodic TV, but, here you go.
Was the trailer basically Power Man, Luke Cage?
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. Be interesting. Yeah.
Question. Transformers 4. Well, I read an interview about Michael Bay, and how do you feel with this comment saying if they asked to summarize the fourth one in a sentence? And it said car chases from hell.
Yeah.
And they double it's like they have twice as many human characters for the fourth movie. How do you personally feel?
Well, here's the thing. With the budgets getting bigger and bigger, the U.S. box office is no longer the be-all and end-all. More and more films are being done with an eye toward the foreign market, especially China. China only allows a certain number of foreign-made films in, so that's why one of the best ways to cover yourself, like Iron Man, is to put Chinese characters in the film with Chinese actors and actresses and film in China. And so that's kind of what they're doing with Transformers. And this is going to sound really silly, but this is kind of the way it works. Bang translates to every single language on the planet. And so that's one of the deals when they do these films. Every single country with a first-run theater can understand a car chase, a gunfight, and an explosion. Now, subtlety gets lost. I saw when they tried to do Wayne's World, they tried to translate it. It was a disaster because you know the scene where they're on the car. Hey, she's a babe. She's a robo babe. She's a Medbra babe. She's Abraham Lincoln. They had no way to translate that in Europe, and I saw this French translation, and it was a disaster. It was literally, she's a pretty girl. No, she's a very pretty girl. Yes, she is an incredibly pretty girl. I think she's very beautiful. That was the closest they could come. And the people were sitting there going, what is this nonsense, and what are the Americans laughing at? So, when you go to action films, character development, plot, that gets in the way. It's how many special effects and explosions can we get on the screen, because that's what will bring the money in. So, anyway, guys, we are at the number. Please come by the table. Don't forget the charity stuff. The game panel is at 3 o'clock. Just literally, you'll see it the main hallway right before the food court. Bring your questions, and we'll have the goodies and stuff out there. And don't forget to follow the site, please, so we can get more swag.
Where's the table at?
You go out the door, down and down. There's the main central hallway that goes right to like the reception and info desk. And you can see the food court through the double doors. We're right there.
I had a question with
Yeah.
I had a question with one that was big. With
could someone hit the stop button on the video camera there, please?
There was one with the Armory Wars.
Yes. Which one?
The comic of Armory Wars with the senior Korean champion. They had kicked around